Hey guys, what's going on? It's Virstyne. So I just cut my brother out of my life. I'm saying this because I know other people are going through the same thing with relatives who they don't necessarily have to agree with you, but they just don't have any respect for you and treat you like crap because you have different points of view than they do. And I know there are going to be some people that are just like, oh no, he's your brother, you guys should patch it up. You don't understand. I've been trying for 4 years, okay? Just because somebody's blood related to you doesn't mean you have to be friends or even see each other. And, you know, I'm not into the whole family is family thing. Like, I think that you have your blood family, but I think that, you know, if you're lucky, you get to be friends with people in that family. And I wish that I could do that with him, but I've just come to the conclusion anymore that I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to, you know, I feel like I give people a lot of chances, you know, and I'm tired of being walked on and just disregarded. And it started, I give a little bit of backstory, and I'm sure he has his version too, right? There's always two sides to every story, but this is just my version. So it kind of started, God, it was around the election, and it was, I remember when Donald Trump got elected, and he was like, you know, he changed his Facebook cover and was like, RIP America. It was just like this black and gray or black and white Facebook cover with a headstone on it. And it said RIP America 2016. And I saw it and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. You know, I remember when at the time when I was more Democrat, right? And I remember when Bush won over Al Gore, and I wanted Al Gore to win. Didn't know about the left-right paradigm, didn't know about all this, any of this shit. I totally was drinking the Kool-Aid, right? And I remember I was upset too. I was like, oh God, why? The earth is dying, the world is over. And I was like that for like, I don't know, like a day, but not for 4 years. So I kind of wrote my brother, I was like, come on, man, like it's okay, you know, like you can't really put your faith in, you know, politicians to make change in the world. You know, just because somebody's elected president doesn't mean that, you know, they have complete control over your life. I'm paraphrasing, it was something along those lines, right? And I still believe that. I think that this Trump presidency has been more than a presidency. I think that it has been a lot. It's been a revelation for a lot of things. It's revealed how the media lies to people. It's revealed a lot about who's running the Democratic Party. It's revealed a lot about people's relationships. So it's you know, it's a symbol of transformation that's happening in this country. To me, it's more than just a presidential election. And I didn't vote for him last time at all. I damn sure didn't vote for Hillary. I didn't vote for anybody. I didn't vote at all. I would say I'm more libertarian if I had to pick a side, but now I'm just kind of like in the space of whoever I think does the best job, whoever has the best ideas, that's who I'm voting for, if I choose to vote, you know? So I still believe that there's a left-right paradigm. I think there are globalists that control both sides. But for this election, it doesn't seem like anybody's controlling Donald Trump because there's so many people that hate him. So, you know, it was kind of like all the people I hated him. So I'm like, oh snap, right? It revealed a lot about Hollywood. I mean, just revelation after revelation, you know, the poison. I remember I saw this other walk away video with this guy who's like, I can't believe the poison I think the name of the title is, I can't believe the poison that's been revealed, right? And he said it perfectly, the poison that's been revealed. It's you know, a lot about the history, about, I mean, just so much. You guys know, that's why you're here. So, you know, I didn't really think anything of it, you know. And as time went on, you know, my brother would call me up and talk to me, and, you know, and he'd be like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I just made a video. Oh, what about? Oh, what a dumbass Beto is. Oh, and then he starts going off at me on Ted Cruz. So then I retaliate with my facts. So then he gets mad and hangs up on me, and he goes and tattles to my mom, and he's a grown man, by the way, but tattles to my mom. And my mom comes back, she's like, well, your brother doesn't want, you talking about politics. I'm like, he just acts like I just call him up and just start talking about politics. Like, he has no role, like he doesn't do anything, like he's just sitting there and the phone rings and he picks up and I just start talking away, right? This is what I do. I'm not gonna walk on eggshells around him. I'm not gonna be like, I was being honest about what I was doing. I'm not gonna be like, just finished making a video about what a dumbass Beto is, and then going and he calls and I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just baking cookies. I'm not gonna do that. That's ridiculous to me. So, anyway, we've kind of had this back and forth, and then we got into another argument and we wouldn't speak to each other, and then we cooled down. We got into another argument, and he was just like, this is on Facebook, and he ended up unfriending me over this one. But we got into it, and I think, because I'm usually like, I'll see something, wrong, especially about this election, and I'll be like, well, that's not what happened. Why do you watch this video? Look at this link. Like, the media is lying to you. The media, the lies that they've, that are telling have divided us, and I'll get to that in a minute. So then he goes off at me in front of his friends in public on Facebook, which is like, it's kind of humiliating, but I have thick skin, so it's not. If I had done that to him, he would have like fainted and died. Okay, just how sensitive he is. Everything offends him. So I was just like, he was saying that, oh, I think you've been led away by charlatans, and basically saying that I don't have control over my own mind, and I'm just stupid, and blah 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 blah. Just, saying that, he's concerned about me and shit like that. So then I think I went off on him. I forgot. That was a while ago, so I forgot exactly what was said. Then he unfriended me. We still talk and stuff, wish each other happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever. We talk, whatever. And then I remember, I sent him a video on Robert F. Kennedy talking about how he had won a lawsuit against the Department of Health and Human Services because, I don't know if you know this, but 1986, a law was passed that doesn't allow anybody to sue the pharmaceutical industry if they're injured by a vaccine. You can sue for, and I think some people get confused, you can sue for drugs, but not vaccines. They classify vaccines as a biologic. That's a whole nother video about that. But with vaccines, you have to go through a court, which has no judge, no jury. It's just mediation. There's no really evidence that you can present in front of a jury. It's just like a room that you go into. And they're paid out of a fund which every vaccine that is bought, a 75-cent tax is added to that, and that goes into a fund, and they're paid out through that fund. So the pharmaceutical industries aren't directly liable, and they don't have any incentive to actually make vaccines safer, if that can be made. I don't believe that that's possible, but they don't have any incentive to even try and help the situation because they're not losing money off of it. Before this law was put in place, pharmaceutical industries were actually going bankrupt because of the DPT vaccine, and I think it was mainly the DPT vaccine, and there were a few other vaccines. That's the vaccine that I believe that gave me asthma after I got my medical records. But anyway, so I sent him this video where he's talking about that. He's talking about all the conflicts of interest in the pharmaceutical industry. And talking about how people, in government have patents on certain vaccines. And you look into it, this is a revolving door. The CDC owns patents on vaccines. certain people that work for pharmaceutical companies and government agencies have patents on vaccines. People that promote vaccines have a vested interest because they actually have a patent on that vaccine and they're making money. So they can't afford to have people even question vaccines because that's their money. So it was a really good video, information packed, talking about all of these things. If I can find it, I'll put it in the links. And he sends me a picture back on flat Earth. Now, I am a conspiracy theorist, or a conspiracy realist, as I would like to call myself. I don't know. I haven't done enough research. I have friends that do believe, in flat Earth. I can't say that I do, because I don't speak on stuff that I haven't done enough research about. But I respect the fact, and I will step back. I'm like, okay, if I don't know a lot about it, I won't talk about it, and I won't have an arrogant air that I know what I'm talking about if I haven't looked into something or researched something, right? Because there's just so much to learn, and there's so much that we've been lied to about. And if you think about it, we do put our faith in a few people, scientists, that go to the moon and do all these other things, and we're not there to experience things ourselves. So, we have to basically rely on what they tell us. I don't know, okay? But the thing that pissed me off about that was that, this flat earth thing is used to say that people are crazy, right? If somebody has criticisms about vaccines or global warming or whatever, they try and throw that flat earth thing in they're like, oh, look at this person, they're crazy. They believe in flat earth and they think the earth's still flat, blah, 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 blah. So I know that's what he was doing. Oh, and by the way, I sent it to him and my mom. So by him doing that, my mom doesn't understand any of this or what's going on, but by him doing that, he knew what he was doing, because it was very manipulative. It was a way to basically take a jab at me and, and just not even, couldn't even bother to look at the video, right? Another time, and then we just went off, we had another argument, we went at it, it was like long, and then I did these, oh shoot, they're all the way over there. Hold on 1 second. Maybe I'll sing a song. Let me see. Shit. I don't want to lose the audience, but I want to go and show you these zines that I made. I made these zines. If you go to truthertalk.com, they're informational zines on vaccines. I did one on measles, and I did one on the measles outbreak that happened in Disneyland, but it's still relevant because it talks about stuff that's applicable today. And also I did one on just vaccine debates and some points, made it really simple. Hold on 1 second. I don't know, could you guys still hear me? I made hard copies, but you can order the hard copies. I just have a few, I just made a few, but I made these, and I used some of Mike Adams' illustrations, but I gave him, attribution, so. But it has a little vocabulary list. It's, I made it kind of like a lesson plan, like a little magazine for kids. I don't know if you can really see that, but and it has little crossword puzzles and stuff. And I put a lot of work into this, right? So I was advertising this on a vaccine page, and some trolls find out, some crazy ass pro-vax trolls found out, and they came to my page off of social media, found my business page because it was on a teaching website, and basically just started, got all their friends together to downrate my ratings. So I never asked my friends for help, but this time, I was desperate. I made 4 of these. I made one on GMOs. I made one on the miracle of cannabis. And anyway, I asked my friends to come and give me a positive review. And, I sent them, the zines and stuff so they could read it, if they wanted to, read it first, and then, but I was like, I need you to, give me a positive review, blah, blah, and I asked my brother, why did I do that? He downrated me and said the information was inaccurate, and I left links and everything where he can go check it out for himself, but didn't even bother, right? Could have, but didn't bother. So this is the thing that really upsets me, is the fact when any of my friends or anybody I care about, they come at me, even if the information is crazy, I'll try and hear them out. I'll try and talk to them. I'll try and see their point of view before I label them as crazy. And I even have friends that don't agree with me. Like I have one of my best friends, you know, she knows my stance on vaccines. She has some thoughts about some, but she still vaccinates her kids. You know, I mean, and we're still friends, and I don't go around making her feel like a terrible person for vaccinating her kids, because she's an amazing mom and an amazing person. She has great kids, you know. But my job, I feel, is just to inform people, and then they can do whatever they want, you know. But my thing is, people aren't getting informed consent because there's a lot of information about vaccines that have been hidden from people. So I I sent him and my mom an article saying that they're thinking about making people that post information criticizing vaccines, they're thinking about making that a criminal offense in England. So I'm just like, you know, if we're crazy and, you know, if we're crazy and we're just, you know, saying silly things and aren't true, how come we're having such a big effect? The World Health Organization just had a meeting regarding this, and they were saying that anti-vax people are converting people 500 to 1. 500 to 1. That's huge worldwide, right? Because you think about it, they have more statistics on us than we have on ourselves, because they're the ones behind the scenes, right? They're ones that are, you know, they can see the analytics and they can figure out, like, you know, all this other stuff that we don't have the tools for. And another thing, there's a guy that just came out, he had an interview. I'm gonna post that. I'll post all this in the links. He was talking about, he worked for Google, and he was talking about how they were trying to censor people that wanted to vote 2020, you know, or they're trying to censor like pro-Trump information, you know, on the webs. And they also were censoring vaccine, people that were criticizing vaccines, content on that, right? So if it's silly and we're stupid and we're just crazy and we're getting our news from fairies and shit, why do they feel they have to censor it, right? So basically, I send that to him, and then I get a call from my mom. My mom's like, "Yeah, your brother asked me to tell you to stop sending him propaganda." I was fucking livid at this point. I was fucking livid. And I called him and I was like, "Why couldn't you call me?" He's like, "Oh, well, I've tried talking to you and it's just no use. I just can't. And I was just like, you know, I'm really sad. I'm really, you know, I wish we could be closer. You know, I was like, I've worked in special ed. I saw my best friend's son become autistic with my own eyes. The same thing happened to our cousin. I had a friend that was paralyzed by the Gardasil vaccine. I had a podcast for 4 years where I talked and interviewed people about this. I read a shit ton of books. I've read a shit ton of studies. I read the medical literature all the time. I'm always keeping up on this stuff. And you just throw me under the bus like I mean nothing to you, you know? And I was like, I'm sure that you have friends that don't vaccinate your kids, because he lives in Silicon Valley, by the way. He's like a programmer. He does something with coding. But he's just like, you know, I was just like, I'm sure you have friends that don't vaccinate your kids, because Silicon Valley has some of the lowest vaccination rates in the country. And he's like, I'm hanging up on you now. I was like, you're a fucking asshole. And I'm done. I can't. It's just the fact that, like, and I feel like I've tried. Like, I was like, hey, you want to go on a road trip? When I was living in Taiwan, I invite him to visit me. He doesn't want to come. Doesn't want a road trip. You want to, like, you know, like, study Japanese or Korean together? You want to do, like, I'm trying to, like, reach out and do things where we can bond, right? And then I also, one of my best friends has this cute little thing that he does with another one of his best friends. They have, like, they're both artists, so they have this book and they draw in this book and they doodle in it and they do these crazy little sketches, and they'll keep it for a few months and then they'll mail it to the other one, and they'll send it back and forth, and they've been doing this for years, and it's an amazing book. So I was like, well, maybe I can do something like that with my brother. So I bought a book and I drew a drawing in it, and I was making fun of myself. I was making fun of myself about how you know, how much I talk about vaccines and shit. And I'm just making fun that I'm like, oh my God, you know. So I drew like this vaccine that had like a cape on it that was like flying and stuff. And then I sent it to my brother, and my brother was like offended. He was offended. Like every fucking thing offends him, okay? So I was just like, okay, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to be like, hey man, I know that talking about this stuff makes you uncomfortable. And he's like, how can you say that it makes me uncomfortable? I was just like, oh my God, are you flipping serious? Like, I was sick. I went to visit him a few years ago, and he lives in a heavily mold infested building. And I've always been real sensitive to mold. I've always had allergies, bad allergies, asthma, stuff like that. And I was bedridden, like, it was Christmas. I was bedridden on Christmas because the mold was just like, I was just overwhelmed by it. It was too much for me. And then he invited me out next time, and I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to hang out with you, but I can't stay with you. I'm gonna have to get a hotel because of the mold. And he was offended. He was fucking offended. I was like, didn't you just see me bedridden because of the mold? Unless he thinks I was making it up, which makes him a whole nother level of asshole. But why would he be offended by that? You know, everything fucking offends him. I can't talk to him. I can't. It's like he's like one of those Antifa people. He was there that night, by the way. That night that you know, when Milo Yiannopoulos spoke and they wanted to burn the whole fucking city down. They tried to burn the whole flipping city down. I'm not saying he's an Antifa person, but he was there protesting. You know, why are you gonna protest somebody and not even like look at what they say? Why won't he take the time to listen to me and see my point of view? I would do the same for him. I've even told him, I was like, send me some stuff. Why do you think this? I'm gonna send you some stuff. Send me some stuff. No. Now anything I send him regarding that is just propaganda. Even though it's mainstream articles, even though it's mainstream media, even though it's facts, to him it's propaganda because he can't be bothered because he's too fucking lazy and he's too brainwashed, by the way. I'm sure he thinks the same thing about me. That's fine. I think I have more reason to believe that than he does, because somebody that has a strong opinion about something that, you know, somebody has a strong opinion about something, they don't have anything to back it up with, it sounds like brainwashing. I'm just saying, okay? So with that said, you know, and my mom, you know, I don't feel bad. I actually feel great. I actually feel liberated because after that, I wrote him a very lengthy, aggressive text, but it was like taking an emotional dump. I feel like I got a lot of stuff off of my chest that I've been holding in, I've been wanting to say. And, you know, there have been thoughts going through my mind, like, what if he dies? Or what if something bad happens to him? And I mean, of course, I'll feel bad, but, and then there's a part of me that's like, well, I don't really know how I'm going to feel unless it happens. Hopefully it won't. But I already feel like I'm mourning the relationship already. I feel like he's gone. I feel like he's dead inside. There's nothing more that I can really do if he won't even like take the time to, you know, to at least respect me or see me or treat me like a human being. And I'm just wrong. I'm just crazy. You know, I don't really, I don't really know what to do. I feel bad for my mom because I know my mom is very upset. And I welcomed her, you know, if she wanted to pray over that, that's fine. And there was I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit before in a few videos, and I had a subscriber said that they would pray for the situation, and that's fine. I welcome that. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I'm not into, I'm just not into like, let your family walk all over you and treat you like shit because they're family. Like, I'm not into that. Like, they're family members that have cut me off. You know, I have a 400-pound cousin that's into fat pride, and she thinks it's okay. You know, she thinks she's healthy, and I said that she wasn't, so I'm cut out of her life. I mean, if that's what had to happen, that's what had to happen, but I'm not gonna let her say that, you know, be delusional about that. You know, it's not good. I'm the only person in the family that had the balls to say it too. And I was nice about it, but I did say it. So, you know, anyway, so what is my point? Oh, I keep bringing this up on my channel, and I feel like it kind of goes over a lot of people's heads. So I'm going to read a little bit from it, and I'm going to put the PDF link in the description if you guys want to read it. And it is called, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's backwards on the camera when you get it. Industrial Society and Its Future by Theodore Kaczynski, Ted Kaczynski, aka the Unabomber. This was written in 1995. No, this is my disclaimer. No, I don't agree with him blowing people up, okay? Hitler was a vegetarian. If you're vegetarian, you're gonna find out Hitler was a vegetarian and be like, oh, well, fuck vegetarianism. That's wrong, right? Like, Roman Polanski was a great director, but he raped a little girl, you know what I mean? So you gotta like learn to separate the baby from the bathwater. Don't throw the baby out from the bathwater. This is like psychic shit, okay? Like well, I think he knew a lot of this too because he went to Harvard at 15 and he participated in, some say mind control. I know he openly participated in an experiment where they were actually trying to figure out how to break people down from their original ideals, and like through shame and embarrassment and stuff like that. So it's fascinating because it's like he predicted everything that's going on now. And I'm bringing this up because I know my brother, like I notice a lot of, this is just, you know, I'm open to being wrong. This is just kind of like my theory, my analysis, my observation that I'm throwing out there. And I'm curious to know what some of you guys think about this too. So it's okay, I love the train of thought. It's talking about leftism. Well, I mean, they're points. They're different sections in this manifesto. It's about 35 pages. I think you can read it in an hour, maybe a little over an hour. Anyway, so he talks about this, and I think about my brother a lot in this context, and also the tech culture. Because I worked a lot with Lyft in Austin, and I worked for Lyft for about 4 years. I don't work with them anymore, for them or with them or whatever anymore. And I talked to a lot of tech people, and you would think that I would try and push my agenda on them, but I didn't. It was really a great time for me to like kind of ask people questions and talk to them and listen to what they say and figure out where they were coming from. And a lot of these people have these traits, just like my brother. And I think, you know, in my previous video I'm talking about teaching, God, my brain's off today. Yeah, in my previous video I'm talking about teaching, I kind of talk about how I quit because I saw that I was actually contributing to this. I was prepping these kids for this, right? And to step it back up, when I was in junior high, I was in a gifted program. Okay, I lived in the hood, but I was in a gifted program. And kind of thinking back on it and looking at Charlotte Iserby's stuff, and I kind of think that those programs are meant to contain people's minds and kind of steer the people that may be fighting back in the direction to work for the people that are trying to control you, if that makes sense. So, you know, and it starts early, and my brother was in a gifted program too. And when I was in high school, I was in an arts program, so that kind of broke me out of that, thank God, you know, but I was preparing, like literally, they put you through the, like kind of like this brainwashing process where you have a lot of homework, you have to do a lot of test taking. They kind of like break you, right? I would be crying sometimes because I had so much homework, right? And then I'd have to like, I would get home at like 4 o'clock because the gifted kids stayed like an hour after everybody else. Get home at 4 o'clock. No, yeah, leave at 4 o'clock. Yeah, we got home about 4 o'clock. Had like 3 or 4 hours of homework. Maybe I can play if I was finished. Go to bed, get up the next day at 5, and start the day all over again. And then had work on the weekends and everything else. It was just insane, right? So that's kind of like, if you look at mind controlling, you know, that's one of the things. They break you down. They put you in a state where you're constantly in their kind of world of thought and training, you know, where you can't question anything. It's the same thing they do with doctors and lawyers, a lot of elite people, but they're starting kids like this at a young age. On top of that, they told, you know, they told us this directly and indirectly, right? They would tell us, oh, you're the best, you're the brightest, you're smarter than everybody else, you work harder than everybody else. And then, we got all the computers because with the way they call them magnet schools in LA, the way these magnet schools worked was maybe there'll be like 200 kids in a school of 1,000, and if they all pass this test, and they will be accepted into this program, and it basically just trains you to memorize and regurgitate information and to be good test takers, and you take that skill up to college, and the more, the higher up you get, the more competitive it gets. But these people still have in their mind, if you're going to be in one of these like elite colleges and stuff, you're really training from a kid to be in one of these programs, right? They're testing you, they keep the test scores. They know you test these standardized tests. They're figuring out who's smart and who's not. I really think it's all a plan to kind of contain people's minds and steer them. I really do. Thank God some people break out of it, and that's kind of like their worst fear. But you're constantly being told that basically, long story short, you're better than everybody else, you're smarter than everybody else. Nothing that anybody else says to you is valid because they're not as educated and as smart as you. And I even had my brother tell me, after I told him I had all that experience, I work with special ed, I've seen stuff happen with my eyes, I've done a lot of reading, I showed him the books that I read, and and he's like, well, there's nothing you can't tell me that my textbook, they can't tell me that I learned in school. I was like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. No, I said he was amoral. And then I didn't say that. But in my head, I was like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. And in my head, I was like, I said he was immoral, and he got mad. I was like, okay, so you can say that, and I can say, you're amoral, and you can get mad and hang up on me? Like, come on, man, you're a grown-ass man. Why are you so sensitive? You're so sensitive. And you can say the most horrible, like, degrading, condescending, mean stuff, and then you just act like I call you up and just go off on you, right? Like, when I went off on him, it had been building up. He just acts like that, he does nothing. He no responsibility. He's the victim all the time, every day, 24/7. So, anyway, going back to that. Theodore Kaczynski, leftism. A lot of this is formed in colleges, right? And through these programs, so these kids go up from this beginning part of time to college, going to college, they get into these colleges. And I've noticed too, a lot of the educated people, the college educated or indoctrinated people, I should say, they're the worst fucking people. They're like, you can't tell them anything. And it's really sad because they're kind of formulated to have this appeal to authority, which is a form of brainwashing, right? No matter how much evidence you present in front of them, they can't really seem to compare or have critical thinking skills, and they can't they don't really seem to, and I'm sure there are exceptions, of course, but for me being general, knowing being general, it seems like they have to have stuff like regurgitated to them and memorized, repeat it to them, right? They send enough sound bites, and they just talk sound bites, and then you give them facts or data or something. Hey, compare it with this. And I always tell people to do their own research. I always leave links in the bottom of my description, especially when I'm talking about something like vaccines or something really controversial, because I want people to believe, not believe me, but do their own research, all right? I have to read you some excerpts from this because I was like, this dude, okay? So the psychology of modern leftism. I know this is getting long, but almost everyone will agree that we live in a deeply troubled society. One of the most widespread manifestations of the craziness of our world is leftism. So a discussion of the psychology of leftism can serve as an introduction to the discussion of the problems in modern society in general. But what is leftism? During the first half of the 20th century, leftism could have been practically identified with socialism. Today, the movement fragmented and is not clear who can properly be called the leftist. When we speak of leftists in this article, we have in mind mainly socialists, collectivists, politically correct types, feminists, gay and disability activists, animal rights activists, and the like. But not everyone who is associated with one of these movements is a leftist. So it's kind of like all bimbos are blonde, but not all blondes are bimbos, like that. Sorry, blondes, no offense, okay? Okay, These are just excerpts. Okay, so the two psychological tendencies that underlie modern leftism we call feelings of inferiority and over-socialization. Feelings of inferiority are a characteristic of modern leftism as a whole, with over-socialization as a characteristic only of a certain segment of modern leftism. But this segment is highly influential via via, like, social media and, media, Hollywood, radio, right? You listen to NPR, they're getting the same thing. They're listening to CNN, they're getting the same thing. They're listening, they're kind of like in an echo chamber, but they're highly influential because, anyway, let me just go on. By feelings of inferiority, we mean not only inferiority feelings in the strict sense, but a whole spectrum of related traits. Low self-esteem, feelings of powerlessness, depressive tendencies, defeatism, guilt, self-hatred, etc. When somebody interprets as derogatory almost anything that is said about him or about groups with whom he identifies, we conclude that he has feelings, inferiority feelings, or low self-esteem, right? So like I was saying, how my brother's really sensitive. He's like, how could you say that? Oh my God, everything offends them, right? This tendency is pronounced among minority rights activists, whether or not they belong to the minority groups whose rights they defend. They are hypersensitive about words that used to designate minorities and about anything that is said concerning minorities. The terms Negro, Oriental, handicap, or chick for an African, or an Asian, a disabled person, or a woman originally had no derogatory connotation. Broad and chick were merely the feminine equivalents of guy and dude, or fellow. The negative connotations have been attached to these terms by the activists themselves. Some animal rights activists have gone as far as to reject the word pet and insist on its replacement by animal companion. Like the fucking pigs are like offended and shit. Like, I prefer animal companion. I'm so offended by pet. Like dogs and shit, like you're protesting. Like the animals don't give a fuck. It's ridiculous though, right? Like people like get mad when people use the word retarded. But I'm like, first of all, we're not saying that mentally handicapped people are retarded. They just get mad if you just use the word retarded, right? But if I'm playing music, I can't say I can retard here at this phrase because it's a musical term too, right? I can't say that. No, I have to be like, people are so offended. Mentally handicapped people, trust me, they're not really giving a fuck about being called retarded or whether people say retarded or not. Now, if you're calling somebody that and directing it derogatorily at them, that's a different thing. But if you're saying that, they're not like fighting to keep the words. They have other issues, okay? Like, come on, like sensory issues, like cognitive issues. They're not even tripping off that shit. I don't know. Anyway, just two more things. Leftists tend to hate anything that has an image of being strong, good, and successful. They hate America. They hate Western civilization. They hate white males. They hate rationality. The reasons that leftists give for hating the West, except clearly do not correspond with their real motives. Okay, that's it. And then, what's the notice? Notice that university intellectuals constitute the most highly socialized segment of our society and almost the most left-wing segment. Very interesting, right? I mean, I started to read this and then I was highlighting everything that stuck out to me, and then I realized that I was just highlighting the whole thing. I mean, I just tried to give you a few segments just so you guys can like kind of get you interested in reading this. This and Understanding Postmodernism, I read that book a few months ago. That would give you a really good insight of what's going on with leftism. But the thing that's really messed up is too, left side and right side, they're neither wrong or right, but when they're out of balance, that's the problem. And because the left is so out of balance and extreme, like technically, I would say I'm a libertarian, but because the left is so far extreme, I'm technically on the right, I guess, right now, right? But I'm not a right-wing extremist, because you can be very right-wing extremist, and that's just as destructive as, you know, leftism. So if you're on the heavy, hard right, this hard right is being created because the extreme is so left, and everything needs to be brought back into balance. But it's like whenever there's an action, there's an equal. Whenever there's a reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction that happens, right, on this side and that side. Blah. But the thing that's really frustrating is the media has been lying to us. It's been lying, and I blame them. If anybody had to be blamed, I blame them for the divide that's going on in this country, on this planet. They just lie. And, you know, I had to apologize to my mom the other day because I guess she was disturbed that I went off. I didn't go off on her per se, but, you know, she was talking about the coronavirus, and she was like, oh, it came from a bat. And I was like, Mom, people have been eating bats for years. I was like, they're lying, Mom, they're lying. They always lie. They lie. When they finish lying, I'm like, I don't believe them. I don't have any reason to believe them. I don't see why I should believe them. You know, my mom was like, oh my God, Lord Jesus. And I was just like, I'm sorry. You know, later she told me, she was like, it really disturbed me how you went off like that. I'm like, I apologize, Mom. I didn't mean to go off on you. I hope you didn't think it was directed at you. I was just angry. And I'm not going to apologize for being angry about how they're lying to people. We're going through a really tumultuous time in this country. And the lies that they're telling have divided families. They're dividing brothers and sisters. They're dividing husbands and wives. And it's sad because people are so prideful, because a lot of it is, I think, spiritual, because at the end of the day, a lot of these people don't have the chutzpah or the guts or the humility to admit that they were wrong, that they've been bamboozled and they've been duped. I have, because that's why I'm on the other side. Had I not, you know, I would be, you know, freaking out and crazy and paranoid and, you know, living my life in fear like a lot of the leftists are. I had to admit that it was very painful. It was very, you know, a little bit humiliating, but I don't think that it's something people need to be humiliated about, because, you know, you put your trust in people. We trust these news anchors to tell us the truth. You know, we don't count on the fact that they're being, you know, paid off by their sponsors, right? Or they're being controlled by corporations, or there's even a more sinister agenda going on. That's not our fault. You know, we are, you know, we're kind of innocent in this, you know, trust issue. But there's some people that have such an appeal to authority, because it doesn't matter how much evidence you put. In fact, unless Anderson Cooper says it, unless somebody from the, you know, news program says that something is true, they're not going to, you know, believe it. They have to have somebody tell it to them, because they don't have the critical thinking skills, or they're lazy. They're fucking lazy. A lot of them are just lazy. You know, they don't want to do the research. It's taken me a lot of research to come to a lot of the conclusions that I have come to about vaccines and about, you know, the politics and about a lot of stuff that I believe now. It didn't happen overnight. And, you know, it took a while, and I don't think it's healthy for somebody to just change like that, but it happened, you know, with my experience, my life experience. And yeah, God, this has gotten too long, but I mean, this is probably the only video I'm going to put out this week, because I'm really busy. So hopefully to make up for all this week. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think. God, it seems like there was more I was going to say. I'm an anti-vaxxer, by the way. So if you have an issue with that, you might as well unsubscribe today. Today. It's fine, guys. It's fine. No hard feelings. Adios. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Zaijian. Bye-bye. All right? For those of you guys that haven't unsubscribed already, because I kind of mentioned some of the stuff in the beginning of the video, I thank you for sticking around, because I think a lot of people are very curious. You know, I'm a patriot. I am. I'm not, you know, I think a lot of you are, I just realized, I didn't realize how many views I got on that the Women's March video, but it stemmed from the fact that I had some, a friend and some other people, some of my allies go out and try and, you know, march because, you know, my body, my choice, right? They're trying to mandate vaccines, and these fucking horrible demons from hell just, you know, abuse them like they're nothing. You know, when they're marching against abuse and discriminations, that, you know, discrimination, the irony was that they were the ones that are being discriminatory and abusive. But, you know, comme ci, comme ça. So, yeah, God, this video is getting long. You know what? Just stick around. I might make a follow-up video. I'm just gonna see how many people drop off. And then for those of you guys who want to stick around and are curious, maybe you're not, you know, on my level of thinking about this, but if you're still curious and you want to stick around, I appreciate it. You know, my intentions are sincere. My intent is to inform people, and I will probably wait until next week. If I lose less than 500 people from this video, I will be pleasantly surprised. If I lose more, you know, whatever. I'm not making money off of this right now. So this channel is my catharsis. It's my way to connect with people. It's my way to get info out. So I'm just gonna wait and see how many people drop off. And then I'll make a video next week talking about my story, talking about why I believe what I believe, how it led me to politics, and other world issues. I think I can go in depth. I think I'll do that. So I want to kind of humanize the situation. I know the media has made a lot of people who speak out against vaccines, they've just demonized us and made us seem like we're crazy people, and, you know, that we're irresponsible and we're killing babies. You're killing babies. Where are the babies? Where are they? Where they're under the couch? Are they in my hair? Where are the babies here? Are the dead babies here? Okay. No, I don't think so. They're not here because I'm not killing babies. But, you know, I don't understand why people think that, you know, if they get vaccinated, then you're a threat to them. Oh, it's because of herd immunity. Oh, but that herd immunity is based on naturally acquired immunity, not vaccine-induced immunity. That theory came out in the 1930s, and it was a study of measles. Before the measles vaccine ever came out, and it came out like 30 years later in the 60s. So another example, again, right, how the media lies and how people parrot stuff without even understanding, because they'll say shit like that. They'll say, oh, you're being irresponsible, you're putting us all in danger, and then they don't even know where that like theory came from. It never even encouraged them to do the research on like what the theory came from, right? And the same people, too, that trips me out, that know that the media is lying about all of these other things, they think that, like, you know, when it comes to vaccines, they believe that the media is totally innocent, right? And if you have anybody in your family that's a doctor or in the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry controls the curriculum. So doctors and a lot of people in the medical industry don't even know about the dangers of vaccines. There are a lot of doctors and scientists that are speaking out, but it's because they had to go outside of their training and do research themselves to understand the ingredients, the fact that they've never done long-term studies of the synergistic effects of the ingredients, the fact that it's causing autoimmune diseases. Because if you research the medical literature, this stuff is in the medical literature, but they don't push it out to the mainstream. So you don't hear the, you know, news programs talking about it, because the pharmaceutical industry also funds the news programs. So why are they going to tell on people, on the people that fund them, right? So I'll get more into that next week, like I said. But like, this is getting long, guys. It's getting long. It's getting long. It's like 48 minutes now. So if you watch like 5 minutes a day, you can be caught up with this video for the rest of the week. Or you can unsubscribe, right, if you want. Whatever, you know. No hard feelings. It gets worse from here. There was a guy that was like, you lost me when you said that vaccines cause autism. I can't with the anti-vaxxers. I can't. I was like, bye, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right? But that's it, y'all. All right, guys. Peace and love. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Mwah.